6:30 study session. First, we'll start out. Please put your phones on off or maybe airplane mode, and we won't hear barking chickens during the meeting. Is there anyone that would like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda? No public comment then. We're going to go right into study session number 1. City Council and City Staff Liaison Appointments to Regional Boards and Commissions. Our City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So with the vacancies created by Dave Brown stepping down, we need to go back through and kind of look at the current list. We have identified several of the committees that no longer meet or rarely meet. And then there's some we identified that do not need to have an elected official. So if it's to your liking that we might put staff personnel on some of those to lighten the load a little bit. So starting out with the current list, I'm not going to go through all these, but it's in front of you to review. You can kind of see where it's at. You want to go to the second page. We reached out to all the boards and found, like I said, several of them, the boards and commissions no longer exist, or they rarely meet, and they do not require an elected official. Boards that no longer exist or do not meet frequently at all are the Cross Valley Rail Corridor Joint Powers Authority, the Indian Gaming Local Benefit Committee, the Kings County Emergency Shelter and Food Committee, Kings County Gang Awareness Advisory Committee, Lemoore Finance Committee, and the LVFD Qualification Review Committee. So the approach we'd like to take on these is not necessarily have anybody assigned, kind of drop them off the list. And if in the future we get notification that they want to meet, we would just bring it to a meeting and decide who we want to send to represent the city on that one. And then the boards and committees that do not require elected officials are KCAO, Kings County EDC, and the Kings Mosquito Abatement. So if we go back to the proposed list, and like I said, these are just our suggestions. It's up to council, but I would go ahead and attend the KCAO meetings on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. Unless somebody has a burning desire to want to take that one over, that'd be fine. We already have John on KCAPTA, so we're looking for an alternate. So if you guys want to speak freely, you want to do these as we go or at the end? And the goal here would be to have the clerk pencil them in, because it's on the regular session to approve the list. So we're kind of building it in the study session. So just go to the end and come back and fill them in.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Let's see another head nod. So 2 or 3. Okay. Kings County Association of Governments, again, is John Plurton. If you look, a lot of these meetings run consecutive with each other, back to back. Kings County Commission on Aging, there'd be no changes there unless you guys request it. Kings County Economic Development Committee, I attend those pretty regularly. So does Councilmember Scaldi. The one thing with that, and I wasn't thinking when we did this list, is I'm already designated as the voting member on that board for the cities. So if I was to be representing Lemoore in that capacity, then they would just have to get another city official to elect. So that's really up to you, y'all to decide, but I'd be more than happy to do that. It's the last Monday of every month. I do attend that one regularly. And then we need an alternate for the Kings County Vehicle Abatement. Again, that follows the other meetings that Councilmember Plurd is already the primary on. Kings Mosquito Abatement, that's a Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Wednesdays are usually pretty light for me, so I have no problem attending that meeting as well. It does not require an elected. The Kings Waste and Recycling JPA Board, they just reseated the board last meeting, and unfortunately we didn't have our rep there. I would like to suggest that either Stuart step up to the primary or Mr. Plord on that, and then we can backfill an alternate. There's some stuff coming up on refuse, and with that contract that we need representation that needs to be there.
I'll take
So-
that. The King's Waste, that's one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's on the last Wednesday of the month,
Okay.
8:00 in the morning. So you're okay with that? So,
Mhm.
okay, and we can go back if we need to. You want to hit the next page, Marissa? San Joaquin Valley, there's no change to the Air Board Special City Selection Committee. South Fourth King Sustainable Groundwater, again, that's John's the principal. We do not have an alternate at this point. And then the League of California Cities right now is Mayor Neal and Mayor Pro Tem Plurd is the alternate.
We don't have any boards or commissions on the league. I mean, why is that even listed, League of California Cities?
So we do go, well, we do send a representative to vote.
Someone from King County needs to be on that board.
Because the league has policy committees.
Mhm.
And years ago, I served on 3 of them: Public Works, Public Safety, and Administrative Services Policy Committee. And that could be just a leftover from way back then, but nobody sits on a policy committee on the city, so
They
it's a
still,
voluntary thing.
well, they still have regular meetings where they do bring their, whoever's assigned to them, and they have dinner. I want to say it's quarterly, is it not?
But
It's
that's the
quarterly.
South San Joaquin Valley Division of the league.
You're right. Yes, you are correct. So
I
I guess
don't
we can
think
drop
we
that off
have
the
any-
list.
I don't think we have any members on that committee, on any committees on the South San Joaquin Valley.
Not that I'm
Division.
aware of at this point. So I would say we could scrap that.
Probably just take it off and
Yeah.
not have it there.
I would agree with you.
Well, when
Mayor
you do
Pro
the
Tem.
voting at the annual meeting, you guys always bring a resolution back to council.
Yeah, and then we
anyway
pick somebody to
determine
go.
who votes.
Yeah, that'd be an annual thing, and that'd be like an ad hoc, a voting member anyways.
So we want to go back to the front of we already did the proposed list. So you can see it in front of you, or you should be able to. This is the first time I've really got to use this. I kind of like it. It's easier to see than that screen. So who would like to be the alternate for K-CAPTA? Has to be an elected.
I'll take all 3 of those that back up to each other, CAPTA, KCAG, and vehicle abatement,
Okay?
if nobody.
The thing about being an alternate for me is you can almost guarantee you're never going to go to a meeting unless you want to watch me sit up there and vote for you, because I'm not going to miss a meeting.
Yes, sir.
So, I
But
mean,
there's not much else out there, and I'm,
if you'd like to be the alternate, it's information. It's important to know that it's not just a meeting, it's pretty informative.
and alternates are welcome to go, correct?
Sure.
I mean, it's open to the
Yes.
public,
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
If you can fit that into your schedule.
Yes, sir.
3:30 to 4:30. The latest it gets is maybe 6:30 in the evening.
Okay.
So yeah, Phil,
Okay.
you have just waste management now, or?
Yeah, we have the King's Waste and Recycling. Stuart, Councilmember Lyons has said he would take the principal role, so we need an alternate for that.
It's 8:00 in the morning. I guess I could be an alternate.
Okay?
If Stuart, you're definitely going to be there at 8 in the morning. Otherwise, I have to adjust my schedule for Wednesdays, which I don't mind. I just need to know in advance a couple of days.
Okay.
So Stuart will take primary, I'll take alternate, which means, which leaves the South Fork Kings.
And these meetings right now are the third Thursday of the month, but I think they're gonna start spacing them out a little bit because we did pass the sustainability plan. So the TAC committees are meeting more, so I don't know if this will be a monthly meeting. It'll probably be bi-monthly or quarterly for a little bit till we get closer to the needing to vote on plan amendments and updates. So just looking for an alternate on that one. And I've sat on this TAC committee since 16. So whoever the alternate is, I can help get up to speed in short order if you need to.
Well, since Chris has taken all the other alternates, I'll take this one.
Okay?
So Mayor Neal's not going to be on any of the committees?
The next meeting for that is on the the 19th, so if you want to find out what it's all about, that's what it is. David Brown was the secretary for the South Fork Kings, and so I imagine they'll appoint me as secretary to take over for Dave,
It's probably a good,
but I don't know.
good chance
It's
of
up to,
that.
it's up to them. But, so that's all the answers to your,
Yes.
I got a question. The Commission on Aging, what did they say when you called them?
They require
That's an elected, they require an elected official.
Okay.
is that something you can make or you can't make?
Well, I'm having problems with that one right now because I'm enrolled into an EMT program, which meets the exact same day as that one.
Who's the alternate for that one?
What days and time?
It's Thursdays, third Thursday at
3:00.
4:00, 3:00.
It says 3:00.
How many more weeks do you, or how many more classes do you have?
Till May?
Yeah, until May.
So I could go, but I can't be a voting member, but I can go get the information and bring it back to you to report out, if that would work. But on that board, there really is no alternate because they only give you one spot. So even if we assign an alternate, they can't sit up there and take your place. They have to sit as a member of the general public. So we ran into this once before. I think before you might even been seated.
How long do those
The city of
meetings
Hanford,
last?
they don't have a council.
Representative?
No, they don't have one. Avenel doesn't have
Something
one.
else?
I think it was Bobby Morton that
Bo-
emailed me.
Yeah, she is the director.
When I was on the Commission on Aging, every month Hanford the Hanford representative came in the first meeting and I didn't see her again for 4 years. And
Well-
it's just, I don't know if it's optional, but they need the representatives to get their grant money and things like that. They need elected officials on it.
Okay. That's fine.
But if Hanford doesn't want to comply, that's up to them. But I think it's important for us to have a person on it.
Yeah, well, because I mean, neither does Corcoran, neither does Avenel.
Well-
I'm the only council person sitting on that board.
Do you want us to follow up and see if that was maybe inaccurate data?
No, she said that's fine. We'll just have to send you because, like I said, I'm going to be hard pressed making those ones.
How long is the meeting?
Well,
They vary.
they vary. Sometimes they're quick, sometimes.
Because I got
they're not.
on the third Wednesday, I have the South, on the third Thursday, which is the same day as
Yeah.
I've got the South Fork meeting.
At what time?
5:30.
That's at 5:30. So that's why I asked how long it was.
Yeah, that might be a short order. That'll be too thin.
Well, are you currently on any of their subcommittees or
No,
any
I'm
working?
not on any of their subcommittees, no.
So maybe we just hold pat and just get through this time and we
Okay,
gather the
that's
minutes.
fine
I'll go
too.
attend in the audience and gather the data. And if there's something we need to discuss, I'll bring it back to the whole group at the next council meeting.
Okay,
Fair enough.
so are we done?
We're done with that one.
Unless we want to put Eddie Neal on that committee, but
He was on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on it. And then, so yeah, let's pencil Eddie in for that one. Mayor Neal.
As the primary?
They only get one. Because
But,
last time when we had an issue attending that meeting, I tried to go in as an alternate. And they said, well, we only have one. You only get one seat. They don't really have alternates like some of the other committees where you go in and vote. And they may have changed that, but if my memory serves me correctly, I'm almost certain that was the answer I got.
Well, I think we should just leave it the way it is, because I don't want to ask Ed to do.
Okay.
more
We'll
than-
hold Pat and
Yeah.
we'll reach out to him again and see what our options are and I'll get back to you.
I don't.
so does that answer all your questions?
I think so. Is that it? Mr.
Okay,
Russell?
let's go ahead and move on to the next item. Study session item number 2 is city council meeting schedule. Back to the city manager.
Yeah. Well, hello again, Mayor and council members. So I brought up, I think it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago, that we were contemplating maybe switching out our meeting schedule and asked for a study session, and you guys said go ahead and do it. So here we are. So if you want to roll the next one. So our current schedule is the first and third Tuesday of each month. Study sessions begin at 5:30 and regular sessions begin at 7:30. Everybody knows that. So we're looking at alternate dates in an attempt to allow city council staff and the public to be more involved with other entities. There's times that Hanford kind of has some significant things that I'd like to go to personally. I know when we were off one time, I think a few of our council members actually attended their meeting. So this would put us off cycle with Hanford, just our neighbors here to the east. And then there have been, it doesn't happen very frequently, but there are times when other entities want to come and do like a public service or get some words out that we have conflicts trying to get people on the agenda with Hanford. So it's been a little troublesome. So not a showstopper, but it has created some issues in the past. So other municipalities, Avenel is the second and fourth Thursday. Coalinga is the first and third Thursday. Corcoran, second and fourth Tuesday, and Hanford, the first and third Tuesday, which I said was the same as Lemoore. So the proposed schedule, and built this kind of looking at all the meeting dates. So to get off cycle, that kind of, we're looking to change from Tuesday. But the second and fourth Thursday, it doesn't conflict with board meetings and commissions, unless I missed one. I don't think I did. It allows extra time for the city council to review the agenda and prepare. It allows myself and staff an extra day or 2 to prepare for the meetings, and it doesn't conflict with the Lemoore volunteer firefighting training days. That's kind of important now because 2 of our members do sit on the LVFD, and I would hate for that to deter any of our residents in town that may be part of that would allow them in the future to maybe not want to run because it conflicts with their schedules. So that was that. Secondary would be the second and fourth Mondays. No scheduling conflicts, but it's kind of tough if we don't get the agenda out till Friday. There's not a lot of staff around if you choose to talk to somebody, but I wanted to have a couple options. And the reason we kind of took Wednesday out, it seems like there's a lot of meetings going on Wednesdays. And Ms. Howell pointed out that a lot of the local churches do a lot of activities on Wednesday evenings and run their different camps and child things, the Awanas clubs and things like that. So I think Wednesdays are just in general pretty stacked as it is. It'd be tough to get the majority of people here on Wednesdays. Any questions?
I like Tuesdays. I like Thursdays.
Okay.
The second and fourth Thursday works into my meeting schedules. So
If we were to choose Mondays, is there a way we can get the agenda out a little bit sooner to give a little bit more time to study it? Or is that kind of set in stone?
No, we could try to get it out like on Thursday, but you still only have, if we get it on Thursday, it's probably going to be later in the afternoon by the time you get to digest it. Or, Friday's gone. I'm always available on the weekends, but if I have to defer to staff, you might not be getting answers till Monday.
Good point.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and weigh in. I like right where it's at. I'm able to juggle the fire department sort of and do this. I don't feel like I'm being pulled away from it so much. And the way my work schedule works is in order for me to have a day off, I got to take a full 24 hours off.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I would have to commit to Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is kind of hard. And then when you throw commissions in there and stuff like that, and now I'm taking Wednesdays, which lets me only work Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays. I personally like it right where it's at. But if it makes sense for everyone else to change,
I'm only saying if we have to change, my option would be Thursday, but if we don't have to change, we were changing the comp to help the firemen receive their training on Tuesday.
That was part of my, that was just one of the reasons for bringing it forth. but not all of them. It does give us a little bit more time. The agendas have been pretty light lately, but when we starting to get into the heavy lifting and the 300 pagers, it gives you guys a little more time. But staff is really okay with Tuesdays or Thursdays. So it's really at the direction of council. It was just an alternative, and part of it was for myself to bring part of it forth. It was, a personal preference, because I kind of like the council members we have sitting on the board right now, and I'd like to make it easily accessible so they can juggle more duties.
You're saying Monday's not an option, though?
I'm not saying that, anything's an option. It's just how far backwards do you want to bend sometimes? And I mean, don't get me wrong, Thursdays are an option too. And I also like changing it because that allows the fire chief to be here to give his report as well, which he misses because he's over there because our meetings started, about the same time as this meeting starts. Everything kind of makes sense, but then again, I'm not a fan of change. So I'll let these two kind of hash it out, and whatever they kind of decide, I'm okay with.
So this is a study session. I don't really need any direction.
I get that, but
yeah, I don't really need any direction tonight. If you want to mull it over, and I can get back to you at a later date, or ask for a consensus at another meeting, we can go that route as well.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, I mean, everybody brings up good points. Everybody's got a schedule. I've got, obviously my day job. I've got this, I've got fire, I've got my own children who are involved in numerous activities. So, if we move it to Thursday, obviously it benefits some of the stuff that I have to do. But also Thursdays are a day of volleyball where my child will be playing volleyball right at the same time as this meeting. So it's a thing of what are you willing to give up in order to get something? So I like the idea possibly of changing, but again, everything comes with a cause and effect. So
There's consequences to moving it.
absolutely.
So you want to table this and let us think about it?
Well, and I also think that we have a mayor who's not here to throw his 2 cents in and see what he thinks.
well, this is just a discussion anyway.
Yeah, I know it, but I would like to hear his insight on this as well.
When would you propose starting this if we were to change?
That would be at the direction of council.
Well,
Okay.
and process-wise, you need to amend the ordinance.
Yeah, we need to
So that
amend
you
the
have
ordinance.
to do the time limits associated with that as well. Which means you'd have your introduction and first reading. You have to have at least 5 days in between a first and second. The second has to be at a regular meeting, and then you have so many days after that before it's effective.
Can we open this to the public to see if anybody?
Yes,
Yeah, I was going to do that. Let's go ahead and open up for public comment if anybody'd like to address.
Look at it, I'm taking care of you, Mr. Reed.
Tom Reed, 1060 Park, Lemoore. At the election in November, we have the possibility of 3 new members with also the possibility of a 4th. So I would say defer any action on a meeting date until then and let the new council choose the meeting dates. I'm sure you've all got schedules planned, you've got vacation planned and other activities planned based on the current schedule. So my recommendation would be defer it until after the election in November. Thank you.
Any other public comment? No more public comment. I think we should just defer any decision until another meeting and we'll discuss it again.
Sounds good.
And that's another option that we hadn't thought about was our forthcoming council. We have the option of, or possibility of having 4 new members. And
Man, don't you guys do that?
that would, that would be a dramatic change. Okay, so,
Nothing like a learning curve.
Yeah, that's scares the crap out of me right there.
okay, so that concludes our, without any other input, that concludes our study session. Our 6:30 study session is adjourned until our 7:30 regular meeting. Welcome to the 7:30 regular meeting of the City Council, Lemoore City Council Chambers, 429 C Street. Please turn off all electronic devices or put them on silent. I recommend airplane mode. First order of business is our call to order, invocation. Kim Nelson, please stand. And remain standing for the pledge.
Father God, we thank you for this time and we dedicate it to you, Lord Jesus. Father God, we just pray for your guidance tonight and that you would be with our leaders and that you would be with our mayor and our family, his families, Lord, that you would bless them. And Lord, our country with this voting day, Lord, we just release it into your hands and we ask for your blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge of allegiance. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Good evening, Councilmember Lyons,
Present.
Councilmember Scaldi,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Plord,
Present.
Mayor Neal. Thank you.
We have a quorum, so. Next item of business is closed session report, which we had no closed session, so there'll be no report. The last item is the agenda approval, additions and/or deletions. And there are none. So I'll open it to public comment. Any item that's not on the agenda you can address the council if you wish. Anybody who would like to make public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we'll go on to section 1, which we have no ceremonial or presentations tonight. Department and city managers report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So first up tonight is Jason Glick.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. A few updates. First on Proposition 68. Last year, we applied for Prop 68 funds for Heritage Park and the Little League property. We did several public meetings, met with different groups, and we applied for grants at Heritage Park and the Little League property. We got notification in November. We submitted our grant in August, and we got notification in November that the state had received our grant and they're reviewing it, and we would get notification in early 2020. Well, we received that notification, and unfortunately, we did not receive the grants for Heritage Park or the Little League property. However, the state is going to give, there's going to be another opportunity for grant funding through Prop 68. There's upcoming workshops, and within the letter, they wanted us to reapply for those grants again. The amount of the grants we applied for at Heritage Park was $2 million, and the Little League property was $6.5 million. So the state has not announced those workshops. Typically, they're in Sacramento, Fresno, or Bakersfield. Once the state tells us the dates of those workshops, I myself and other staff will attend those, and we will resubmit those grants in 2020. Another update is our spring soccer program. Our registration, we believe, is a record. Last year, it was really good. It was $695. Our spring registration is $750 right now, and that's indoor soccer, and that program starts on Saturday. That's an increase of revenue of $3,850. So we're excited about that. Our spring activities are getting rolling right now, and staff is pretty busy getting things prepared. Park staff has begun to mow the parks. Things are getting busy out there as well. This Saturday, the sports park will be very busy with softball's opening day, and the Little League property, Little League Baseball will have their opening ceremonies and baseball games on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Frank Rivera?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Just have a couple of city projects I want to update you on. Our 2019 overlay project is scheduled to be remobilized on March 16th. That'll be the completion of the overpass, grinding and overlay the overpass. So the contractor will be coordinating traffic control with Caltrans regarding that. So it'll also be completing the reflectors that have not been installed and the traffic signal loop. So should be about 3 weeks from beginning to end is all it should take to complete that. There's some miscellaneous stuff on Fox Street that we need to address, but should be about 3 weeks or so that we'll go through that project. The other project, if you probably already noticed, the Lemoore Dispatch Center, they started yesterday mobilizing the next few months. The first contract will be in demoing that whole corner, removing all the grass, trees, whatever curb and gutter, parking lots in the way. They'll make room, do a few sewer tie-ins, water tie-ins into the main, our main system. And then in preparation for the building, I think the building itself is anticipated to be delivered in May. So the whole timeframe of the project is about 4 or 5 months. Substantial completion is estimated to be in July 11th. That's just our preliminary schedule. So anyway, that's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Questions?
So again, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. A couple things. Held a community roundtable last week. We had 5 attendees. We held it here, chatted for about an hour and a half or so. So that was good. Had a meeting with Caltrans yesterday regarding some traffic studies that have just been completed and done for a housing project that's being looked at for the west side out by the college. And John Liu, one of their department heads, is looking at some preliminary work for some temporary roundabouts to get traffic moving on the west side. So we should be seeing those plans in a few weeks. But preliminarily, it looks like the impact fees on phase 1 of the housing should pay for the improvements on the west side. So pretty happy about that. We're just can't come fast enough. Also, I met with Naval Air Station Lemoore yesterday, and we discussed the Defense Community Infrastructure Program. It's a federal funding program for infrastructure that if you have projects that go along to support the base's mission, there's $50 million available. I submitted 2 projects in theory and gave him white papers on that he's proposing to the board down in San Diego tomorrow. But we're trying to get some reimbursement on the TTHM project. As you well know, it's a $33 million project. The pitch on that is that we provide safe drinking water to not only our residents, but which is comprised of active duty military, retirees, and dependents. And even threw in there something that's out of the scope of the job is that, and if the funding's there, and if the base would so desire, that we'd be willing to work with them on a secondary supply line from Lemoore out to the base to provide secondary drink or backup drinking water source in case you do have a natural disaster or man-made disaster on the aqueduct. They get a lot of surface water. So working on that. And then we also submitted for consideration the 80-acre development, and we can tie that in to support the Navy's mission by providing jobs. And that is right over the flight path for the training of our naval aviators out there. So that would secure a compatible use according to the joint land use study. So should get a little more information in the next few weeks. The actual applications are next month. We'll be getting the official app sent in, but this is a fast track project, and they're only taking projects that are shovel ready or underway and can have funding started as soon as September. So both these projects meet that criteria. So no guarantees, but I'm a little excited about that one. And Frank covered the PD. That's it. Thank you.
You're more excited about that one than the roundabout?
I'm excited about it all. So
I know how you like those roundabouts.
Okay, so we're on to
I do like
consent,
roundabouts.
consent calendar item, section 3. Consent calendars are voted on or considered routine in nature and are voted on by a single vote. At the end of my initial reading, members of the council or the public may wish to discuss anything on the consent calendar separately. So if they wish to be pulled, then we'll pull them. So I'll go ahead and read the consent calendar. 3-1, approval minutes, regular meeting, February 18, 2020. 3-2, approval bid award, well 10, bacteriological rehabilitation. 3-3, approval, city council or council member and city staff liaison appointments to regional boards and commissions. And 3-4, approval, budget amendment for payment of wastewater capital cost. Does anybody on the council wish to pull any item?
Negative.
Nope.
Members of the public wish to discuss anything on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I will wait for a motion.
Okay, I'll motion to accept the consent calendar as read.
I will second.
A motion by Councilmember Stuart Lyons and a second by Councilmember Scaldi. And do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Councilmember Lyons,
Aye.
Councilmember Scaldi,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Motion passes. Moving on to the next item, public hearing, section 4.
Okay. Good evening, again, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. So tonight, we're bringing back the first reading of the ordinance 2020-02, approving a first amendment to the disposition and development agreement between the city of Lemoore and KCAL LP, and addendum to the IS mitigated negative declaration. This is the site located north of Idaho Avenue between State Route 41 and 19th Avenue. This is commonly what we refer to as the 80-acre development. So as you look on your screen, you'll see the project site. Been a couple modifications to it. Go ahead. If you look at this screen here, the little blue box you see about center page, that is actually 12 acres. That was purchased by the city to put the stormwater runoff for this whole 80-acre development. As we got further along into the design and engineering of this, it became apparent that we needed more space. So we need 23 acres to be able to meet the requirements to hold water, not only for this site, but for the rest of the development to the north. So what we're proposing here is you see the blue square, that's 12 acres currently owned by the city. The orange rectangle next to that is actually where we're proposing we put the 23 acres of basin for holding water. It's significant because that's currently where the water stores, and there's not as much earthwork to do to get that to become the basin, whereas if we wanted to use the 12 acres we purchased for basin, that's already at grade. We'd have to dig all that out and just move dirt. So if you go to the next slide, one more. What we're proposing on the industrial park here and the amendment to the agreement is that it's in the yellow now. That property would be proposed to be conveyed to the city of Lemoore from KCAL. So we would take possession of that 23 point, give or take a little bit, acreage for a storm drain basin for that project. And then concurrently, the city would convey the 12 acres on the corner back to KCAL. So the original agreement was for, I believe, 84.3 acres, a little over 80 acres. And the agreement says that he has to develop 12 acres every 2 years after the city puts in infrastructure. So it changes the agreement. It takes down to about 67 acres because we have more more basin in there. But that's really the gist of the change here.
That's alkali land, so it's not good for anything anyway. So do we have to excavate in?
Well, that lower southern section is already about 6 feet in depth. We have to stay between 5 feet of groundwater. Groundwater out there ranges from, we've had reports of 9 feet all the way down beyond 15. Now, I can tell you in 2016, when we put the water line extension down Idaho Avenue, we actually, when the canal was dry, we went a couple feet underneath the canal with the water line and never hit water. So, but yeah, we'll do a little bit of work there to widen that basin. It's not 23 acres at this point. And then the dirt that's there we'll use to build up the road and stuff that we have to put in. So any dirt moved will be used on the site itself. And we've currently moved in all the dirt from the TTHM projects. All the loads of dirt that were dug out from the well sites have been delivered out to the site to start building up roadways. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Any comments from the public?
If you could open the public hearing. Can you open the public hearing?
Tom Reed, 1060
Just
Park Avenue,
just a
Lemoore.
second.
Sure.
I have to formally open a public hearing. It's now formally open.
Thank you.
My mistake.
Tom Reed, 1060 Park Avenue, Lemoore, just to make it official. With the change in the acreage, the swapping the property, will there be a change in the amount per year that the contractor will have to complete work?
No, Mr. Reed, he'll still have to complete the 12 acres on a 2-year cycle. And that doesn't change, so he'll just finish, we'll finish a little earlier.
Okay, thanks.
Any other? I will close the public hearing. Just for clarification, we have to supply infrastructure out there, water lines and sewer lines and things
Yeah,
like
so the cities, before his timeline triggers for the 2 years, the city has to put in curb gutter, the streets, and then all the wet utilities, which is water, storm, and sewer. Obviously, we'll put in some street lights, but all the dry utilities and main electrical poles are on the developer. We're currently getting ready to go to bid here very soon. And it looks like we're going to take a phased approach and start building the south end. So it'll probably be done in 2 or 3 phases. So we'll build enough for him to get his 12 acre commitment, and that'll allow some time for some more funds to come in to replenish. So we're not hitting it all at once, and then we'll continue to the north until it's completely built out.
Okay. Any discussion? Any motion?
Council, if I can make a recommendation, if you're going to make a motion, I recommend it be a motion to introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance.
I make a motion to introduce and waive the first reading of ordinance 2020-02.
A motion from Councilmember Scaldi, second by Councilmember Lyons. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Councilmember Scaldi.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. That concludes our public hearing. Section 5 is new business. I have no new business. Section 6, brief city council reports and requests. Uh-oh, somebody's smiling down there.
No, I like how you say brief, and so I'll go ahead and be brief. I've got nothing to report out other than I voted today, and want to thank the PD for the continuous fine job that they do, and all the city staff. They all do really good. I'm done.
Councilmember Scaldi.
Mine too will be brief. I too voted. Polls close in about 11 minutes. So if you haven't voted, get out there and vote if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank everybody for coming tonight and putting in some time. That's all I got.
Just for clarification, did you use the new voting machines that they came and explained to us a couple of months ago?
No,
I will say negative. The senior center did not have the new voting machines.
Well, I did. I used it and it was pretty easy, and you'd have the option at the polling place to use the electronic device, or you can use a paper ballot. So I chose the electronic device and saved a tree.
Was it pretty user friendly still?
I figured it
No
out.
glitches?
I did attend last week the Cartboard meeting, the Kings County Association of Governments and Transportation meeting, and I was appointed to the personnel committee. So that's one of those committees that they have, but nobody ever has a meeting on. But I was appointed to that, so I was kind of proud of that. And then on Thursday, I have a meeting, a special meeting of the Cartboard dealing with property acquisition. So there is going to be some interesting discussions next month dealing with CART, and I'm going to save that until next month. I'm going to leave you in suspense. It has to do with weeks of free CART rides. So come back next month and you find out. Okay, so
the
without,
suspense is already killing you.
Phone's gonna be ringing off the hook.
so that concludes our business for the Lemoore City Council tonight. Our next meeting is on March 17th, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.